Good afternoon, everybody. And y'all just kind of bear with me because I will walk and talk just about the entire time. A little bit about me, Robert Grooms from Bennettsville, South Carolina. And it just so happens I'm the biggest thing there. Okay, maybe not, maybe not, maybe not. But at any rate, I've actually been in the insurance industry for actually a couple of decades. I have been working mainly in the final expense area. And one of the things that I found out through that is who is really my best friends. And when it comes down to it, guess what? Well, first of all, let's talk about funeral homes. Now, I do have a question I want to pose first. Is there anybody in here that's not going to die? Raise your hand. Oh, we have one. All right, we have one. Okay, so when you think about that, if everybody is going to meet the same kind of fate, guess what? Guess who really, we as agents right now, need to become really good friends with? The funeral homes. Guess who's most concerned about the insurance that we're selling right now? The funeral homes. Why? Because they want their money. Isn't that something? I mean, are they not social workers?
No.
I don't understand that. They're just greedy. But at any rate, I started working with funeral homes really about probably 15 years ago. And one of the things that I found out is that the better the product you can get, the more they like it. Now, when it comes down to my referrals, over the last 2.5 years, even with the company that I used to work with, I got absolutely no leads. Now, of course, they would still send me leads, sometimes $1,000 a month. And they're just, right now, just kind of sitting on my computer. I hadn't even touched them. And it's just absolutely amazing. But with the funeral homes, when I go in, I'm going in actually to help them. You know, and the funny thing about them, I had this one funeral home, and their thing is they want Mutual of Omaha of all policies. They love it because one of the things about Mutual of Omaha is that the mortician doesn't even need the death certificate. All you've got to do is to have the family member there, you make the call, and the check is mailed from Mutual of Omaha the very next day. They love it. As a matter of fact, I got 5 referrals to do next week. I've had them for 2 weeks. I just hadn't had time to go and get them done yet. But believe it or not, it's absolutely amazing. Those funeral homes have dealt with some of the same people, some of the same families, in cases 3 generations, 4 generations. And they've got the kind of relationships that they can actually go in and say, now you know your Uncle Buddy didn't have a penny of insurance.
I know. It was
He had
terrible.
absolutely no insurance, but because y'all have been dealing with us all these years, we're gonna give you a good price. We're gonna get him buried for you. We're gonna work it out.
Thanks.
They're gonna look out for you. But the only reason they're going to do that, other than say, well, you know, he's gonna have to go visit old Smokey.
Never heard it called that before. My Lord.
He's gonna have to visit old Smokey because we're sorry, we just can't do that. But if they've been dealing with your family for the last 3 decades, then guess what they're going to do? They'll make a way because they realize we buried 30 people in this family. I've made my money, I can do this one free, but they're still going to give you a hard time. And the thing that they're going to do after that, after they have done that, they're going to say, now, you know what? I got a buddy, his name is Robert Grooms. I'm going to send him by, and he's going to work with you and make sure that the rest of the family gets covered. Can you work with me? Okay,
That's awesome.
that's right. Now, how does a person actually start working with funeral homes? What's the very first start? Who does your family use right now? Because all of them are going to run into a situation where they're gonna come up with a situation where somebody doesn't have insurance, And, just a private thing that you can always say to funeral homes, because I'll make the comment all the time. When I find out they've got a free one, I say, you want me to bring you a bottle of hot sauce? Because you are going to have to eat that one. So, what happens in a situation like that? That's where we step in. That's why right now I've got about 6 funeral homes that refer to me exclusive. I know so far, just this year, this is March. So far, I probably made a good 25,000 so far, based on funeral home referrals. Absolutely amazing. I love it. I love it. Now, how does that expand? It goes from one funeral home. Well, if I did something good, tell somebody else. And other funeral homes are just calling me up right now. Just amazing. Now, I'll go a little bit farther, but let me catch you, because if you got any questions, please let's get those things out right now, because I want to make this kind of an interactive process.
I guess my thought would be, if you don't have a connection with any funeral homes, how do you start?
How do you start?
Developing the connection.
When's the last time someone in your family died?
Oh my goodness. Probably 12 years ago up in New Hampshire.
Ah, New Hampshire. Okay. Well, let me just show you one thing, a book right here. This is the National Mortuary Funeral Services book. It has every single funeral home in the country listed right here, actually by county.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Every funeral home. And quite frankly, even if you don't have a connection with a particular funeral home, a lot of these things you can actually walk in and say, let me tell you what I do, and just kind of go over the process. This is what I do. This is what I can do for you. Because I don't need any kickback like some people are trying to do. You don't need a kickback, because when you're writing a policy, my client base right now is in their 60s and 70s. So the premiums are up there. And the last thing I need to do is, I don't need the funeral home to do anything else other than make sure that I have their client load.
So there are people that approach them and ask them for money to make sure there's an insurance policy, is what you're saying.
You can actually Google this, but one fact, more people will ask a funeral director about insurance more so than walking into an insurance office and ask about life insurance. Because when you think about it, we don't have many places that just focus in on life insurance or on health insurance. You got the big box boys, the some kind of farm place. Some farm, North Farm or something like that. Anyway. So you got all these other companies, but still, when you think about life insurance, they will ask a mortician. They want to know who's paying, who's working. And you find out what the funeral homes want, what the funeral homes need, because all, at some point, have run into a situation where, guess what? They had to bury somebody absolutely free. And one funeral home that I'm familiar with actually had a situation where they had a couple of children that were killed. And we're talking 5 to 7-year-old children. They were actually killed. Now, the sad thing about that is that they had no insurance on these children. So the funeral home that they chose actually decided to do a cremation on 2 young children, and their business took a nosedive from that point forward. $10,000 worth of insurance would have probably taken care of both of those. So those are the situations that we run into quite often. So every funeral home out here is looking for somebody. You'll find a lot of funeral homes now that actually have their own agent. One of my biggest referral funeral homes right now, the mortician actually does the pre-need insurance, and most of our policies are coming in much lower, and that's why I get those calls. So that's really about the biggest part of what we do, But as I said, you can start with because if you walk into a funeral home that your family uses on a regular basis, trust me, that mortician may not do anything initially, but they will listen to you and they will consider. And if you've got programs such as I described with Mutual of Omaha, that's going to pay just on a call, those policies, they will definitely work with you. They'll do your referrals because they love it. Yes, ma'am.
Who do we ask to speak to when you go to the funeral home?
Well, you want to speak with the funeral director.
Funeral director.
You'll have a lot of staff in there, but you do want to talk mainly with the funeral director. And like I said, it's all about making sure that they understand I'm here to help you, to make sure that your client base actually has insurance, because there's a lot of them out here right now that really don't. Younger children. Younger children are passing away. Younger children are getting killed. And so many of these right now are not covered. Wow, we have a program that we can do a 10-year paid up for life on children. Why are they not covered? It's amazing. It is amazing. The work is there. The need is there. Questions? Yes, sir.
What's your average premium
My average premium,
for say 10,000?
with the age that I'm doing right now, well, I'll tell you, the last one I did was $279 a month. That is. I enjoyed that. But on the other side of the coin, my average client, you're going to be looking at roughly about $100 or better.
Okay. I was expecting 50 to 60 because that's what it was when I was selling.
Yep. Some of those policies I know from other places, $10,000 for a 60-year-old. I do so many at that age, I know the numbers by heart. And I'm growing now, so I'm learning my new numbers. Let me think. Now, one other thing, as long as you're working in the final expense market, keep in mind, I go to virtually all of my clients that pass away. I go to all of their funerals. Everyone that I know about, I go to. And I can tell you more than once, I've had people to see me at the funeral and say, I need for you to follow me to the house. I've done policies on people the afternoon that they buried a family member. You never know where your referrals are going to come from. But once you get the okay from some of your morticians, especially the larger funeral homes, oh my goodness, they will keep you busy. They will keep you busy. And especially if you can order, if you can offer up a better policy, a better price, a better company, something that works for not only just the family, but also works for the funeral home. It's great. It's great. And I'll give you one little situation, and then I think I will try and answer some questions, and I will be out of your way. Had a situation where I was working with he was about 76 years old, and he was at one of my senior citizens' apartments, And the way that I got there, they actually sent in a referral. And I went to see this person, and I never go straight to anybody's apartment. I will start off by going to talk with the managers and let the managers know that I'm there on the property. I tell them I just don't come out here and you not know I'm here. So I said, well, let me just tell you exactly what I do so that you'll know. And I explained the whole process. We talked about the company, we talked about the policy. And the manager said, so I can do a policy on my mama? I said, you sure can. And she said, well, she just lived right over here. Let me go get her. So she went, we did a policy on her mom. And then she called her sister up in Maryland. And her sister also did a policy on her mom at the same time. So I was able to get 2 policies. And then she opened the door. She said, well, yeah, I'll let you come out here and do a presentation. You know, because those places, those senior citizens apartments, they have to come up with activities. They will allow you to come out and do a presentation. I'll take myself like a deli tray out, and I'll do about an hour-long presentation and write up policies. But the one I'm getting to was one of my clients, and he was so funny. I went in and we did a policy, and this is the same place that the manager did a policy on, 2 policies on their mom. And I walked in to see this guy, and oh, he just cussed me out. And I stood there and I laughed and we joked and we joked and I wrote a policy on him. And every time I go back, out to that facility, I'd stop in and knock on his door and oh, he cussed me out again, and we'd laugh and we'd just have such a good time. And he had actually done a policy, and he had his girlfriend as the primary beneficiary. Well, as his health got worse, his family decided, okay, it's time for us to bring you to the house. So they came out to the senior citizens apartment, and they took him home and they went through his paperwork, and they found that, oh, he has insurance. We got this. So they they went in and they got his signature, and they changed the ownership of the policy. They were going to clean up. They changed the ownership of the policy, but guess what they forgot to change? The beneficiary. The primary beneficiary. And this lady was in her 70s, and the family were calling, they were fussing with her, and they wanted her to just give up the entire policy. And with this particular guy, he had a family member that was a mortician. So we're standing there, and they had threatened this lady so bad, I said, just have them to call me, and I'll be glad to talk with them. So they had her so afraid she wouldn't even go to the funeral home to view the body. They just thought, okay, we're gonna beat. Nobody's gonna beat me. So I took all the information, I got her signature on the assignment, and I made sure that she was going to get at least half. She didn't mind paying, but you know, when I talked with the funeral director, it's like, oh, Mr. Grooms, we have a very nice funeral all planned out, and all we need to do is to get that policy, and it's going to be $6,900 and some change. So, ma'am, how much do you think the policy was for? $7,000. They wouldn't have had enough money to take the family to McDonald's. So I'm like, well, I'm sorry. The best she's going to do is $3,500. That's the best she can do. And I actually went to the funeral home. I had her signature. I went to the funeral home, and we sat there. And fortunately, the company that we were dealing with was another fast pay company. Once they get the information in, they process it, and they pay within 24 hours. So we faxed the information in, and called him about 20 minutes later. He gave them his banking information. They wired the money into his account that day. And when he heard that, his eyes stretched, and he looked at me, and he gave me 5 referrals on the spot. Brand new funeral home. That was 5 years ago. I went to see somebody, one of his people, 2 months ago. So he's still calling me. So if you can get in and do what you need to do, you will be okay, and you won't need referrals. And by the way, the people that was at the senior citizens apartments, all they did was they sat around and they watched pretty much the way that I handled that situation, what I did for that lady, and there were another 5 policies that came out of that one particular situation. So I will advise you, number one, take time, talk with your senior population. You know, there are companies that will teach you, oh, you need to do so many policies a day. You need to get in and you need to get out. And I say that if you're going to become one of my clients, I'm going to give you the very best that I got. So I will be in your house at least an hour to make sure you understand everything. When your policy comes back, if there's one word that you don't understand on it, call me, I'll be back. I'm your friend. I will be there for you. So it's all about attitude. It's all about mentality. It's all about getting that stream built. Because when they call me the insurance man, guess what? I'm okay with that. All right. Well, questions? Yes, sir.
Which contracting company do you find yourself using the most dealing with your population that you use?
Right now, you heard me mention a good one. Well, the one I'm okay with right now because of what it does for everybody. You know, but my true client, the mortician, it keeps them running. You know, they get paid, we all get paid.
Which company is that?
Mutual of Omaha. And as I describe it when I walk into a house, I say, you remember when we only had like 3 channels, 13 and 9, and on Saturday, Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom would come on. Oh yeah, I remember. That's who you are now being insured with. And they love it. They've seen it. They all watch Wild Kingdom on channel 13.
So with the elderly population, I've had a little bit of difficulty with mutual approving policies. You don't have any trouble?
Not if they tell you the truth.
So that's what it is. So it's not about their condition or their medicine, it's if they lie about it that they won't.
Yes. I did. As a matter of fact, I've got one that's in holding now, which is an IUL on a young guy, and of course he's on a blood thinner. And you know, I guess no, yeah, completely forgot. I didn't know. Oh, I did one this past week, and of course, he was on nitroglycerin and he was on Plavix, and he forgot both of those.
Really?
And they had just written him a prescription. I mean, because
How convenient.
yeah. So it happens. But believe it or not, depending on the funeral home that you're dealing with and the relationship that they have with the clients, when I call them back and say, oh, this person is on this, and this, they'll make that call, and those people will step up to the modified rate. Now, I have no persistency issues. I've never had persistency issues. And my success, once I get in the house, is about 90%. Once I get in, I don't miss.
That's awesome.
because I do take the time and I talk to people. 'Cause you'd be surprised what just a little bit of extra information will do for you. Yes, sir.
I found mutual home law, their risk assessment team.
Uh-huh.
You have the medication, like you were mentioning, this is something I do beforehand, is like if you have the medication sometimes,
Uh-huh.
you call the risk assessment team. That mutual home law is really good about telling you, like that medication would be a red flag or that medication would not be. Because I had that happen with a lady where it was one medication, she had rheumatoid arthritis, and it actually was another, it could be used for rheumatoid arthritis. Or
Dual
cancer.
purpose.
And so
Dual
they
purpose.
told me that, and I was able to get the lady, but that's a cool way to do it, like, to help out with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And you know, actually walking in, the first thing that you want to do is make sure that, you know, you don't want to say, "You lied." You just plain and simply work with them. Oh wow, you didn't realize this medicine did this, this, and this. And I'll spend a couple more minutes and I'll educate them on how that works, and quite frankly, we'll talk a little bit about the whole 2-year contestability period, because everybody thinks, regardless of what situation they're in, oh, I'm gonna do this today, and I need to, you know, if I die tomorrow, hey, you know what? I've had calls to go to do insurance on people, and they're on hospice. In the hospice bed, right there in the living room, sleep. We can't do an insurance policy, and here's why. So it happens. All right, I see the boss has come up front, which means I have talked way too long.
No.
But
We technically have the place until 3, but I want you to go and get your stuff done, and do what you do, my man. You got the magic touch.
But let me say this. My name is Robert Grooms, and if you want to talk, feel free to call me or send me a text. My phone number, 843-544-3761. And I just want all of you to know that we're on the same team, and if I can help you, I will. If I need to actually go to a funeral home with you, I will. Because I do understand that language that you have to say, those buzzwords that the morticians want to hear. You know, free funeral? Yeah. No, they don't want to hear those. You know, but I'd be glad to work with anybody. Yes, sir.
Repeat that phone number, please.
Yes, area code 843-544-3761. And I tell folks, now the wife is here, so I'm gonna rephrase this.
Okay.
I tell folks
Don't get in
that,
trouble,
watch how I clean this up.
Okay.
I used to tell folks, I said, you call me and leave me a message. I said, the only calls that I answer when I'm in a house talking with somebody, because I'm giving them my full attention, if my son calls or if Jesus calls me.
Well, amen.
Yeah, but and the wife. Now I say the wife first, then Jesus, then my son.
The only reason he said that because she said I'm helping you out.
So, folks, my teammates, if you need me, don't hesitate to call. I'm here for you.
Thank you.
Let me get this from you, bro.